The city of Marietta fixes or replaces at least 5 fire hydrants in the area every year. Our Haley Lanham talked with the mayor about current hydrant projects happening this year.
There are roughly 600 fire hydrants that the city of Marietta is in charge of. Each year when they revise the budget, they set aside money for 5 to 7 hydrant repairs a year. Each hydrant is roughly $7,000. The first replacement in 2025 will take place on Mitchell's Lane along Pike Street. This hydrant has been out of service for about 4 years, and unlike other hydrant projects, this is more complex due to the location.
The business on the side and the road real close by, and it's all concrete, so it's a little more in depth in replacement than what we would typically do in a yard or an area of town.
This year, the city is prepared to have all of the hydrants painted and marked with a pressure and flow tag by the end of 2025. They will be bright red for better visibility and marked with a colored reflector, letting first responders know the pressure and the water flow.
The new scheme of the hydrants that everyone will see will be a safety red, so they'll stand out. And then over the years, we've added to the hydrant reflective collars that indicate the flow and the pressure of that particular hydrant.
Mayor Schlicker says that every 2 years, the fire hydrants are flushed and they are tested to make sure everything is working properly. He says that issues can be from cars hitting them or old age, but it's most likely a tight valve.
When you deploy for a fire, you want to be able to crank them open as quick as possible. And so that's pretty much the main concern, and then the other concern is flow. Does it have enough flow? Does it have enough pressure?
Mayor Schlicker wants the public to know that with these hydrants bagged and out of service, that nobody is in danger. Hydrant replacements are not ignored, and they will be replaced as soon as possible. Reporting from Marietta, I'm Haley Lanham with WTAP News.